In the quiet town of Vologda, where snow fell softly like whispers from the sky, the air carried a gentle chill. The streets, lined with old wooden houses, glowed faintly under the streetlights. It was winter, and the world felt hushed, as if holding its breath. In a small apartment on the edge of town, a young girl named Anya lived with her mother, Irina. Their home was modest, with creaky floors and a single stove that warmed the rooms with a soft, crackling glow. Anya, 16, had a quiet heart and a curious mind. She loved reading old books and watching the snow pile against the window panes. Anya's life was simple but heavy. Her mother, Irina, had changed over the past year. Once warm and full of laughter, Irina now moved through the days like a shadow. Her eyes, once bright, were dull, and her hands trembled when she thought no one was watching. Anya noticed. She always noticed. The problem was subtle at first, Irina forgetting small things, like where she parked the car or what day it was. Then came the strange moments, Irina staring at the wall for too long, muttering words Anya couldn't catch. Anya didn't know how to fix it. She felt small, helpless, like a snowflake caught in a storm. The apartment smelled of borscht and stale tea. Anya sat at the kitchen table, her fingers tracing the worn edges of a book. It was a Friday evening, and the snow outside fell thicker now, blanketing the world in silence. Irina stood at the counter, pouring juice into 2 glasses. Her movements were slow, deliberate, as if each step required thought. Anya glanced up, her brown eyes catching the flicker of the kitchen light. "Drink, Anya," Irina said, her voice soft but strange, like it came from somewhere far away. She slid a glass of dark red juice across the table. The liquid shimmered under the dim light, thick and almost too bright. Anya hesitated. The juice smelled odd, not like the usual cranberry they bought from the market. It had a faint, bitter tang, like medicine or something metallic. She looked at her mother, who was watching her with an intensity that made Anya's skin prickle. "Mom, what's in this?" Anya asked, her voice small. Irina smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Just drink, Dorogaya, it's good for you." Anya lifted the glass, her fingers cold against the smooth surface. She took a small sip, and the taste hit her tongue, sharp, wrong, like swallowing a secret. Her stomach twisted. She set the glass down, her heart beating faster. Irina's eyes never left her. "I'm not thirsty," Anya said, pushing the glass away. Her voice trembled, but she tried to sound calm. Irina's face tightened, just for a moment, before softening again. "You need to drink, Anya. For me." The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Anya's head began to spin, a slow, dizzying pull, like she was sinking into deep water. Her vision blurred at the edges, and her hands felt heavy, too heavy to lift. She tried to stand, but her legs wobbled. The world tilted. "Mom," Anya whispered, her voice barely audible. She leaned against the table, her breath shallow. "You put something in the juice." Her words hung in the air, fragile and fleeting, like snowflakes melting on warm skin. Then, darkness swallowed her, and she collapsed onto the floor. The hospital in Vologda was old, with peeling paint and the faint smell of antiseptic lingering in the halls. Nurse Elena Petrovna was on duty that night, her hands steady as she checked charts under the fluorescent lights. She was a kind woman, with graying hair tucked into a neat bun and eyes that had seen too much but still held warmth. The emergency room was quiet, save for the soft hum of machines and the occasional cough from a patient down the hall. When Irina burst through the doors, cradling Anya's limp body, Elena's heart sank. Irina's face was pale, her eyes wild with panic. "Help her, please," Irina cried, her voice breaking. Elena moved quickly, calling for a stretcher. She helped lay Anya down, her hands gentle but firm. The girl's face was pale, her breathing shallow. Elena checked her pulse, weak, but there. She leaned close, brushing a strand of dark hair from Anya's face. "Anya, can you hear me?" Elena asked softly. Anya's eyelids fluttered, and for a moment, her lips moved. Her voice was a faint whisper, barely audible. "Mom, put something in the juice." Elena froze. The words were soft, but they carried a weight that made her stomach turn. She looked at Irina, who stood a few feet away, wringing her hands. Irina's eyes darted to the floor, her shoulders hunched. "Stay with her," Elena told another nurse, her voice calm but urgent. She stepped away, pulling her phone from her pocket. Her fingers trembled as she dialed 911. "This is Nurse Petrovna at Vologda Central Hospital," she said, her voice low. "I need police here immediately. Possible poisoning case." As she spoke, Elena watched Irina from the corner of her eye. The woman's face was unreadable, a mix of fear and something deeper, something Elena couldn't name. The hospital's fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, casting long shadows on the floor. The police arrived quickly, their boots heavy on the tiled floor. They spoke to Elena in hushed tones, asking about Anya's condition in her whispered words. Irina sat in a plastic chair, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She didn't speak, didn't look up. Elena stayed with Anya, monitoring her vitals as the doctors worked to stabilize her. They suspected a sedative, something slow-acting but dangerous in high doses. They pumped Anya's stomach and started an IV drip, the clear liquid flowing steadily into her veins. Anya stirred after an hour, her eyes fluttering open. The room was bright, too bright, and the beeping of the heart monitor felt like a drum in her head. She saw Elena's face, kind and steady, and felt a wave of relief. "You're safe, Anya," Elena said, her voice soft, like a warm ascetic for a child. "You're going to be okay." Anya's throat was dry, her voice weak. "My mom, what happened?" Elena hesitated, her hand resting gently on Anya's arm. "The police are talking to her now. We're figuring it out. You just rest." Anya's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't speak. She turned her head away, staring at the wall. Elena's heart ached for her. She didn't know the full story, but those whispered words, "Mom put something in the juice," lingered in her mind like a dark cloud. The police took Irina to a small room down the hall. Anya was kept overnight for observation, her small body curled under the hospital blanket. Elena stayed close, checking on her every hour. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this story, something deeper than a single act of malice. The next morning, a detective named Mikhail visited Anya's bedside. He was a tall man with a tired face and kind eyes. He spoke gently, explaining that Irina had confessed to putting a sedative in the juice. "She said she didn't mean to hurt you," Mikhail said. "She thought it would help you sleep, help you both escape, something." Anya's eyes widened. "Escape what?" Mikhail sighed, sitting in the chair beside her bed. "Your mother's been struggling, Anya. She told us about your father's debts. After he left, some people came looking for money. She was scared, thought they'd hurt you both. She said she just wanted to end it, quietly, for both of you." Anya's breath caught in her throat. The room spun again, but this time it was her heart breaking. She thought, "We'd both." She couldn't finish the sentence. Mikhail nodded, his voice gentle. "She's not well, Anya. She needs help. The police will make sure she gets it." Anya turned her face to the window, where snow fell softly outside. Her mother, her quiet, broken mother, had tried to protect her in the only way she knew how. It wasn't right, but it wasn't hate, either. It was despair, heavy and cold as the Vologda winter. Days passed, and Anya returned home. The apartment felt empty without Irina, who was now in a psychiatric facility outside the city. Anya stayed with her aunt, Marina, a warm woman with a loud laugh and a kind heart. Marina cooked hearty meals and filled the house with music, but Anya's heart was still heavy. One evening, as the snow fell outside, Anya sat by the window with a cup of tea. Marina joined her, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. "You don't have to carry this alone, Anya," she said. "Your mom loves you. She just lost her way." Anya nodded, tears falling silently. She thought of her mother's trembling hands, her distant eyes. It wasn't simple, but it wasn't hopeless, either. She would visit Irina soon, when she was ready. For now, she let the snow and the warmth of the blanket hold her together. The town of Vologda slept under its blanket of snow, and Anya, for the first time in a long time, felt a flicker of peace. The world was heavy, but it was also kind, in its own quiet way.